Now, I don't do this very often, but I'm a little curious on a lot of you guys' opinion when it comes to the action world, or at least in the sense that heavy combat that's not for FPS or third person based. As I've always stated, it's a genre that needs a lot of love. And I don't mean love in the sense that, oh, not a lot of people like it sucks, blah, 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 blah. I mean in the sense that almost nothing ever comes out. Don't get me wrong, there are some franchises that are like always in production, kind of sort of along the lines of the Tales of series, but understand, that's a paid franchise. You're going to keep getting them as long as people keep buying them. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee an expansion into the action genre. RPGs are always going to have something coming, and a lot of them are going to move towards the real-time combat because turn-based, even though I loved and grew up on it, does have to evolve. And whether or not you look at action RPGs as an evolution of turn-based combat, it kind of sort of doesn't matter in the long run, because there will always be people that prefer one over the other. I'm not really here to start a fight. I'm just here to kind of sort of point out possible evolutions, or I should say upgrades that could possibly expand on or increase the number of games we get in this beloved genre of mine. Firstly, yes, I've played the Devil May Cry's, I've played the Ninja Gaidens. Oh, and you can bet your sweet non-existent butthole on an android robot I'm going to be playing Nier Automata. Actually, is that how you say that? Automata? Automata? I'm not too sure. One of those cases where Japanese are trying to use English words for their titles, so who can really say? I dare somebody to tell me the proper way to say Karen in Street Fighter. Go ahead, I'll wait.
So, care to say your prayers?
But I digress. I feel like one of the biggest things that always seems to be missing out is inclusion of other people. I know y'all remember back in the day shit like Final Fight and Streets of Rage, but here's the thing about those. You could play them with your friends. And offline, no less. I think the current nickname for it is a little thing called Cow Chop. Now, I always found Cow Chop kind of sort of weird. Makes me think you're so fat that a doctor has to perform a surgery inside your own house and operate on you on the couch, but it just never really stuck, at least in my opinion. That being said, I also understand that a lot of games have co-op modes that could also be used as a challenge, especially Ninja Gaiden, which they've almost never got to run correctly. I don't know why, but whenever action picks up, or even during certain automated attacks, I've noticed tremendous slowdowns. I thought it was the internet connection, but no, it was the actual gameplay. I'm not saying that, it wasn't a quality product or anything, except for the original version of Ninja Gaiden 3. That was almost depressing, but we're not going to get into that. Really, I just want to point out a lot more things that could possibly increase, I don't know, notoriety would be the best term for it? Yeah. For instance, you don't see a lot of them getting remade or remastered. Double Dragons being one of those rare exceptions, and even then, most of those remakes and remasters took almost 10 to 15 years after the original releases to even happen. God help us if we get a Battletoads. It's gonna be hard. I'm gonna beat it, and I'm gonna love it, and then I'm gonna ask myself, like I do every time I beat one of those insanely high difficulties, why did I torture myself like this? Was it really worth it? Still don't know the answer. And other than that, there's also just building the community. Why not have a score attack mode or a challenge mode that has a cycle of stuff that gets issued out to players? Let them win something, or a special ability to customize certain colors or whatnot. There's a billion little ways and little things you can do. Take for instance Smash Brothers. At its base, all you need is literally the character selection screen and the ability to fight someone else as either an AI or an opponent. But let's move forward into the future of Smash Brothers, specifically the 3 and 4 era. In 3, we got a little thing called Subspace Emissary, which is basically a mini action RPG story, and you could have up to 4 fucking characters in it. It had its own cutscenes, it had a decent story behind it, And it was just a good time all around. You could easily lose a good 3 to 4 hours in that mode alone if you played it from start to finish. That last boss was a bitch and a half though. Don't even get me started. Then there's also survival mode, home run bat contest, and all other staples or considered staples of the Smash series that are going to continue on, unlike Subspace Emissary, which I didn't want to continue on. And then when we get to 4, they got the inclusion of alternate versions of the character's special attacks. Now it's a little bit too fucking insane to get all of them, because you're looking at burning through over 100 fucking in-game hours, and you really shouldn't have to. But at the end of the day, the goal is to increase enjoyment or to increase the longevity and playability of the game. And to be honest, a lot of them don't seem to realize that they've already done half of the hard work. They somehow balance out the difficulties and give us more than 2. Barely hard and hard. Sometimes they have a little fun with it, like, the notorious heaven or hell mode of the Devil May Cry series. Everything dies in one hit, even your bitch ass. And then there are times where it's just a matter of, oh, yeah, we increase how much your enemies hit you, and all the old tactics you used to use don't work anymore. Looking at you, Ninja Gaiden. But that doesn't make the game less fun or less enjoyable. Again, I ask myself, why the fuck do I torture myself with those modes? Because I beat those modes. And every time I do, I don't ever feel like I got anything worth it. And then there's a bit of a problem of, well, for lack of a better term, natural story length. Most of these games are meant to be beaten within a day's time. They're not RPGs after all. But what you can do in those stages after you've beaten them gets expanded upon based on new features or abilities your characters get. We'll say, for example, everyone knows that you have to hunt down and do many secret missions to get a full energy bar in the Devil May Cry series. But sometimes you can't even reach those locations or find them necessarily unless you have certain abilities like, say, a triple jump unlocked or a glide or some crap like that. Which I think is pretty cool and it adds to it. And of course, as you go through the story mode, you'll always get more weapons in all of the series. Especially Bayonetta, but Bayonetta makes you kind of sort of work for them to a degree. There will be some you can almost never miss or run directly into. And then after that, if you get enough money, you can duplicate them so you can have the weapons on your hand and feet. And then some are just a little bit more hidden or really only acquirable in certain difficulties and blah, 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 blah. I won't bore you with the details. But stuff like that makes me want to play the game more. And honestly makes me feel interested. But what I can never figure out for the life of me is why stuff like co-op always gets pushed to the side. It was in everything back in the day. Everything. Ninja Turtles, Streets of Rage, Battletoads. I'm forgetting something, but you get the point. Oh yeah, the Power Rangers one. You just couldn't get away from it. It was like that one crazy ex who thinks you gave her an STD even though you've got clean papers. I don't know what the hell happened. But when I see people talking about Nier Automata, games like Yakuza being the future, or we're witnessing an evolution in the action genre, if not, an increase in popularity, I feel a little bit of a tingle in my heart. No, I don't mean that shit from Zelda. And I honestly feel like we might have a chance at seeing a resurgence. The problem is, other than the ones I've mentioned, is that how in God's name do we get the mass market appeal? I'm not saying we got to turn this whole genre into some Call of Duty BS or make sure there's something always coming out and have billions and billions and billions of DLC, but I really want to know, what do you guys think needs to be done to make this stuff flourish?